Out right here on First Pitch. We got best bets coming your way and game breakdowns across this nice slate in MLB action tonight. Weather might be a factor in some games. Which ones, we'll let you know here, but let's get into one that certainly will not be affected by weather, and that is the Toronto game tonight in Kansas City. Last night, the Blue Jays got it done, and Bryan Power thinks it's going to happen again here this evening. Why is Toronto the side, BP?
Look, guys, Kansas City, I think we would all agree, great early season success story. Even though they've lost the last three, including last night, as you just mentioned, Dan, the Royals have a 13-10 record on the year, plus 36 run differential. That run differential among the best in the sport. But you dig deep, and it is difficult to ignore the fact that the Royals have gotten to beat up on the lowly White Sox a lot. Have to get our White Sox mention in here now that it's Trig and I doing the show on a Tuesday. Two different series against Chicago. Kansas City's played. They've won 6 of those 7 games. They're just 7-9 against everybody else. And then you look at this 3-game slide. Who's it been against? Baltimore and Toronto, a step up in class. And Toronto has really had Kansas City's number. You go back to last season, 7 straight head-to-head wins by the Blue Jays. They've outscored the Royals 33-14 in those 7 games. So it generally hasn't been close. And overall, Toronto's trending in the opposite direction of Kansas City right now. They've won 7 of 9. They're getting solid hitting. They're getting solid pitching. Offense has scored 5 or more in 10 games this season, including each of the last 8 victories. And the pitching staff, they've allowed a total of just 14 runs in the last 7 wins. Gausman on the mound tonight. He was great against the Yankees his last time out after a bit of a shaky start to 2024. Looked like his old self, though, against New York. Allowed just 1 run and 4 hits over 5 innings. And he's been good against Kansas City in the past, Dan. 3.09 ERA in 4 previous starts. Last September, went 8 innings, gave up just 1 run on 2 hits. Waka, he gets the start for the Royals. He's off to a good start, but you could have said the same thing about Brady Singer going into last night. He gets roughed up by the Jays. I am not saying that the Royals are going to completely fall apart moving forward or you need to sell on them totally, but the fact is they are a money-losing proposition this year when not facing the White Sox. I will take Gausman and Toronto to make it 2 straight over the Royals this evening.
Yeah, BP, it always feels like you and our guest, Adam Trigger, that's the specialty for you. Bad teams that you can bet on and good teams that you can bet against. This is a case of one of those teams who might be overperforming, that it just might be the sell sign here with Waka on the mound. Toronto, the side from my man Bryan Power. The chat is already lighting up, gentlemen. We already got people talking about their parlays. They're talking about how my Phillies heard Mark Zinno chirping about the bullpen yesterday on the show. Don't think the bullpen would have mattered much when you get 7 across there in that game. But we got questions that we'll be answering there. They got some games they want us to break down. They want us to touch upon the Texas Rangers game as a dog at home against Seattle. We'll do that one in just a few here, and you can hop below in the comments. Let us know what your best bets are. And gentlemen, let's keep it to baseball for now, so I don't have to think about that end of that Sixers game. Talk about selling the bag, Trigger. That was brutal for me last night. So let's talk about a Boston team, because that's who's going to dominate the NBA. Red Sox not quite dominating the MLB, but the Red Sox taking on the Guardians. You think the Sox are the side this evening? This one goes at 6:10. Looks like Houck opposing Lively in this one. I feel like Lively might not be too lively for you. What do you think?
So you go back to last week, we had this exact same matchup. I talked about this on one of my shows, and I had a winner in this game with Boston. It was the same pitching matchup, Houck versus Lively. Houck, of course, threw a complete game shutout that was, kind of widely, celebrated across Major League Baseball. Complete game, 3-hit shutout, and won. I see the game the same way. I want to continue to try to oppose Ben Lively, in spots that I can. I think, this goes back to his time in the KBO. I think that at the big league level, and this is something I talked about a bunch last year when he was with the Reds, I think he needs to be pinpoint accurate. If he's not, he tends to get roughed up by big league teams. And we saw that with the Reds last year. 88.2 innings pitched in Cincinnati last year, a 5.38 ERA. So he'll have the good start every once in a while. But when he's not if he's not painting the corners, it tends to be difficult for him. The question here is, can Tanner Houck do it again? Right? Like, that's really, I think, the key to this handicap. I talked about his great performance last week, but you go back to an outing he had against the Angels earlier this month, where he shut them out for 6 innings, had to come back and face them 5 days later, and they roughed him up for his worst outing of the year. 12 hits, 7 runs, only 4 of them earned, but kind of some similarities there, which is probably the thing that kind of kept me off making a client play on the Red Sox, because I still do like how this game profiles for the Red Sox. They're probably going to get Devers and O'Neill back. Of course, Casas goes on the IL, so maybe a little bit of a trade-off there, but I still think the lineup is pretty strong. And you're still getting to face Lively 5 days later. So we talk about a guy in Ben Lively that really needs to hit his spots and have good command. If he's off a little bit, he's going to get crushed. And now the Red Sox have the benefit of having just seen him. So, the more I kind of, talk about the game, the more I'm starting to think the over might be the play, because the Guardians are playing great ball. Like, Brian Power's Guardians have played fantastic ball, 16-6. We talked about on this show their lack of pop in the lineup, but they do everything else right. They play small ball, and small ball's starting to become like the in-demand thing in Major League Baseball now, with the steal being as big as it is. Obviously, we outlawed the shift and whatnot, and it's really seemed to help the Guardians offensively the last couple seasons. So, maybe you get your runs here just because of the familiarity with both pitchers, but I still think long-term, I've seen so much of Lively over the years in AAA and in KBO, and then, at the big league level with the Reds last year. I just don't think he's going to cash many tickets at the big league level. So I lean toward Boston. I'm not sure if it's going to make my card. I lean toward the over, especially if you're going to get plus money on over 8.5. That seems like a decent value on the over there. So, just the way I'm looking at this game, most likely play here for me would just be to run it back with the Red Sox minus 110 and see if they can get it done in this matchup like they did last week.
That's Adam Trigger. Of course, this is one of the games that you definitely want to keep your eyes peeled to the weather report, as our man Brian Power knows well. He said, I'm supposed to go to this game tonight. And according to the computer models that we're looking at here, widespread rain showers late in the day into the evening. So might affect how you bet that game, might affect if they get the game in. We've got Wisconsin guy in the chat making a triumphant return here. Welcome on back here to the WagerTalk family. He has a Teddy Covers-esque follow-up here for you, Trig. So try and do my best Teddy Covers here. So, Adam, do you feel that the Guardians' number of hitting 266 with a 113 WRC plus are inflated numbers due to how they were playing against a bad team, Oakland, last series? How would you answer that?
I mean, I'm not. I know Oakland is a bad team in the respect that, like, they're probably going to end up toward the bottom of the American League, but I don't think that numbers against Oakland per se are like totally inflating people's standings right now. Like, the A's really haven't played that bad. Like, they're 9-14,
especially pitching.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they have some pitching on that team. So I don't think that playing the A's is indicative of is inflating or deflating numbers one way or the other, especially because they do have some good pitching arms. They've got some good arms out of the bullpen. So I think wins over Oakland are legit right now. That team has impressed me so far this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, and again, that's just the nature of the beast here. Early in the season, it's not like we have all this data to draw on. Hop below in the chat. Let me know a thumbs up or the thumbs down on the Teddy Covers follow. You can't get low like him. You know what I mean? Like, there's just something about it. He just has like that baritone in his voice that it's hard to replicate. The mannerisms maybe from producing WagerTalk today I can get, but as far as the Teddy Covers delivery, little tough there. Clarence Davis was chiming in here, guys. He wants to talk this Mets baseball game. They're taking on San Francisco. Of course, they get the 5-2 loss yesterday. Total sitting at exactly what we saw yesterday, 7. But he's asking about the money line. Nice plus money price on the comeback here for the Mets as they're taking on San Francisco this evening. So, BP, we haven't heard from you here in a little bit, so I'll let you lead off on that one. The late night special, it's Webb versus Severino is going for the Mets. Any buy on Severino for you?
I would have a slight lean to the Mets at this price. Here's the thing. They've done a good job putting runs on the board on the road, 5.8 per game away from home, whereas San Francisco has not typically been scoring at home just 3.8 runs per game, 3.5, runs per game at home, despite the 5-2 win that you referenced last night, Dan. So, yeah, I would say, you look at these two teams, the Mets have been better, so the plus price is obviously tempting. Severino, in his 4 starts, the whip's a little higher than you want to see. The ERA is okay. Now, Webb has pitched pretty well in his 2 starts at home, so you'll have to be cognizant of that. Last time out against Arizona, a team that can hit very well. We're talking about teams, is the offense or the offensive numbers for real or what? Webb last time out, he threw 7 shutout innings against Arizona. That was here at home, and that followed 7 innings of 1-run ball, at Tampa Bay. He's gone 7 in 3 straight starts, as a matter of fact, after a rough first one against the Dodgers. But so I think I would just say, hey, if you're looking to do something, Mets full game at a plus price. Didn't make my card, full disclosure, but I guess that it'd be Mets or pass for me.
Trig, man, I hope Pat Corbin's not in our chat because dude is just getting buried in the chat. Everybody's saying happy fade Pat Corbin day. Raven Ron saying Pat Corbin's trash performance is paying mortgages. So congrats to Raven Ron. But yes, happy fade Pat Corbin day. Is it that easy? Do we just set it and forget it? I mean, the chat is blowing up. LA Dodgers first 5 run line, LA Dodgers game, LA Dodgers up by 2 for that DraftKings promo that's going on. Is it that easy? Pat Corbin's on the mound, opposing Paxton. We just fade him. What do you think, Trig?
I mean, I don't know that it's that simple. However, I don't want to bet against the Dodgers right now. They didn't have the greatest weekend against the Mets. And, you're talking about a Dodgers team that's probably going to win well over 100 games this year at 13-11, right? And we've seen this with the Dodgers before. We've seen good Dodgers teams sort of sleepwalk through April and then kind of go on a tear. So, they're still probably overvalued in the grand scheme of things, but I have no desire to fade them off of what was kind of a lackluster weekend against the Mets. So would have to just find a way to bet the Dodgers or pass here for me.
Yeah, it's almost like you can take the Corbin part of the equation out. Talk about a set it and forget it bet. That's been at least recent form here for the Dodgers. Any thoughts on that one for you, BP, as far as that goes? You want to get at it a different way? You maybe look at the Dodgers team total over, or is that one that, I can find something else on the card? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out. Dodgers team total would be the way to go. I think if you're looking to do something. I mean, I don't really want to lay that price, obviously, for the full game. First 5 run line, okay, I can see where people are going like that, because if the Dodgers are to win big, what's the kind of game script? It's they beat the hell out of Corbin. I will add, going back to the last game that we were asked about, the Mets-Giants game, as I talked about Webb and how well he pitched, I don't hate the under in that game either. Just because Webb has pitched well, and I think it could just be a low-scoring affair. I know the total is low that we have there, 7.5, so there's not a lot of room for error, but I could see the Mets very well winning a low-scoring pitchers duel there. So just wanted to add a look at the total as well as the side for the commenter who asked about it.
Hop below in the comments. As you see, we love chopping it up with you as we are here live. If you're watching on the rewatch, hop below and let us know what bets you're eyeing tonight. Any first 5 plays or team totals that you like this evening, comment below. We'll definitely be checking those throughout the evening here. Guys, let's swing it on to the Seattle game this evening. They're taking on the Rangers. A couple people were talking about that one, asking questions and saying, hey, Texas is the early look for me. My favorite comment from our man Tyler, he says, I don't know, I'm leaning Seattle. Dane Dunning's glasses are due to get knocked off his face. He's calling out the red specs there, BP. What's your thoughts on Seattle and Texas?
I completely agree, and this is my best
with the
bet
glasses
for the show today.
as well. Glasses are leaving the face.
He can keep the glasses on, but regardless, what I think you can expect is Seattle to be leading after the first 5 innings of this game. AL West is kind of an interesting division so far. There's no separation. Obviously the A's, as Trig mentioned, we expect them to be bad this year. Houston's been a massive disappointment. I know Trig's going to touch on the Angels in just a moment. These are the top 2 teams right now. The Rangers in first, but they're only 12-11. They dropped 2 of 3 over the weekend to Atlanta. Now, obviously, Atlanta's a very good baseball team. There's no shame in losing a series to them. But the Mariners, they're surging. They'd won 4 in a row prior to splitting a Sunday doubleheader out in Colorado. You look at the run differential column, maybe it's going to be these 2 teams sort of ruling the AL West moving forward. But what has drawn me to Seattle first 5 here on in this game is the pitching matchup, the starting pitching matchup. Logan Gilbert on the mound for Seattle. He's been very good. 2.33 ERA, 0.77 whip in 4 starts, 4th in stuff plus. And really, Seattle's entire starting rotation of late has been great. You're talking about a collective 1.44 ERA. Its last 10 games, I expect Gilbert will keep that trend going because he's done well against Texas in the past, 2.88 ERA in 10 previous starts. He allowed 2 runs each of his last 3 against Texas last season. And then the aforementioned Dane Dunning. I have just never been a big believer in this guy. He has pitched better than expected in his first 4 starts of 2024, but he's given up at least a home run in each of his 4 starts. 8 previous starts for Seattle, 4.28 ERA. I'm not going to say the Mariners are better than the Rangers right now, but Gilbert is a better pitcher than Dunning in my estimation. So first 5 money line, and we're getting Seattle even money, so I'll take the better starting pitcher all day at that. Gilbert's gone longer than 5 in every start and has allowed just 1 run 3 times. So look for Seattle to be ahead after the first 5 here. That is my best bet for the show today, Seattle first 5 money line.
Yeah, and this is why you just can't scroll on to the end of the video and find the best bets, because the best bet just dropped right there by my man Bryan Power. He's also got a 4% NBA best bet up over at his page, and you get any handicapper 4 days of all access for the price of 3. A great deal rocking at any handicapper's page, so you can use that at Trig's page at Bryan Powers. But in BP's case, you can grab that 4% best bet and then ride for the next 4 days as well. But Seattle in the first 5, the best bet for him. Hop below in the comments. Already seeing some folks over there saying they're leaning Mariners. I haven't seen much talk about the first 5. So what do you think, folks? You riding with BP going towards Seattle in the first 5, or you think Texas is the way to go? Any nerfies or yerfies? We always love hearing about those ones as well. Speaking about games that have been blowing up in the chat, Trig, I know that you love talking your Chicago White Sox. You do have a best bet coming up in the O's game. That's been a big topic of conversation as well. But we can't go with having Trig on the show and not talk the Chicago White Sox and their illustrious 3-19 record. What do we got? Fetty on the mound against Lopez, minus 290 and climbing for the Twins here. Trig, if anybody can make a case for the Sox, it's you. Can you even do that tonight?
Yes, but I'm not like I made my money on the White Sox. Listen,
I always can. Yeah.
I won more bets with the White Sox early this year than I lost. And I kind of got off of them before it went like completely, off the rails. But I mean, are you going to take the Twins collectively as of a couple days ago? We're hitting under 200 as a team. I don't want any part of the Twins at this price. So, I mean, if you're going to give me the White Sox on the road plus 1.5 and plus money, like that would be the way I would look to bet it. But I'm just not dying to bet the White Sox. But like Eric Fed, he's pretty solid. Like he had a phenomenal year in Korea last year. I go back to 2 years ago. He pitched through an injury with the Nationals. So it's like his MLB numbers were pretty inflated. He was trying to stay in the rotation. He was hurt. He ended up shutting it down for the year. He was the best pitcher in KBO by a mile last year. So I think he'll probably hang as long as he's healthy. I think he ends up having a pretty respectable season as a starting pitcher. And the Twins just don't hit. So why would you want to lay almost $3 with the Twins, or why would you want to lay a run and a half and lay juice with the Twins? Their lineup does not warrant that. And I do think Lopez is still a little bit overvalued just in general. I've kind of felt this way since he signed with them, like since he signed that big deal with them. I've always felt like he was just a tad overvalued being called an ace. So it would be White Sox or pass for me. But again, I'm not dying to bet on the White Sox right now.
Yeah, that's probably a smart move with the 1-9 run that they got going, rocking here. But I will say, hearing Trig talk there and even reading what we got here in the chat, a lot of love for the over in this game. And hearing Trig's breakdown on the game, I think it definitely plays towards an over. Unfortunately, those 6.5s are gone. We're sitting at 7, painted across the WagerTalk live odds screen. Our man City by the Bay says, if you feeling really spicy, you can get the White Sox over 2.5 team total, minus 110 on that one. So with a total that's pushing upwards, Trig, it's up to 7 already. I mean, minus 110 on that play, that's not an awful look from our man City.
I don't like the over here because I like Fed. So that's the thing. Like I wouldn't want to. I think Eric Fed will pitch fine. Like I would be more. It would have to be like, but I don't hate the White Sox team total because I do think, coming off of the 7-0 shutout, like, they're bound to score more than 2 runs at some point, right? Like the previous day was 8-2. I'm looking and see what the day before that they scored 5. So I don't hate the White Sox team total over. Again, it goes back to kind of my feelings about Lopez in general. But again, like, I think the best bet here is probably the White Sox plus 1.5, and you get plus money, and they're on the road, so you get the extra at bat. They have lost their share of close games this year, for what it's worth. So I don't know. You got Kopech too in the that they didn't use like their couple. They have like 2 good relievers, right? And they didn't use them yesterday, so I suppose that is in their favor as well. You get a decent outing from Fed, and that like Kopech hasn't pitched since the 21st, so that he could potentially be used for 2 innings if they have a lead. They'll probably use him for multiple innings if they're tied. So I think the White Sox is the best play there. It's not close, in my opinion.
The chat definitely disagreeing with our man Adam Trigger. They want to lay the 1.5 with the Twins. BP, you got to.
Good luck. Lay minus 140.
You got to break the tie.
This is
good. No, look. Even if that bet won tonight, it's bad betting practice. You don't want to lay minus. You don't want to lay minus 1.5, minus 140 with home teams consistently. That's just not. Just because
you lose the second, you lose the chance at another at bat. Yeah. I get what you're saying. But shout out to the chat. Brian Powers Hair thanks you. We appreciate you, whether you agree or you disagree. The chat below. Brian's Hair thanks you tremendously. But yeah, we'll see. People, that people will circle back. Timestamp this part of the episode, and then whichever side covers on the run line, I want to see people in the comments section afterwards, Brian.
Yeah. I will say one thing. I think the White Sox are probably due to Triggs, but I think they've only, after that start to the season where they lost their first 3 games by 1 run apiece, and then it's really just come off the rails, like you said. I think they've only covered the plus 1.5 like 4 times in their last 17 games, which is really, really awful. So I don't know. I mean, can you keep losing by multiple runs every day? I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of articles. Can this team lose 120 games this year? Which is never good. And like Trig said, you don't really want to bet on teams that have articles written about them like that. But Minnesota at this price, man. Woo. I mean,
yeah, we've already hit our quote. We've already hit our quota here of the White Sox talk. So I'll put a pin in that. We've reached the part of the episode when we're talking about the White Sox being due. So I know Joe Ranieri on the NBA show is always talking about the Instagram doing a little day drinking. I don't know. Maybe it sounds like the panel. We're doing a little bit of day drinking here, talking about the White Sox for this long, gentlemen. Trig still got a best bet though for us. We don't know what's in that coffee cup, by the way. Comment below. What is in Bryan's coffee cup? Let us know in the comments below. Trig, we talked all about run lines a lot on this program, and you have a best bet making a case for a team that, again, disappointing thy name is the LA Angels. They're taking on the Orioles. The chat loves the O's, Trig. So you're already the most popular guy in the chat here today. Tell them why the Angels getting the 1.5 is the better play.
No, I mean, full disclosure, I was on the Angels last night. It was my big play. They, of course, lost the game 4-2. Bases loaded, Mike Trout at the end, and he watches back-to-back fastballs to lose the game. It was, I really couldn't believe my eyes there, but that's what happened. And you know what? I will say this, though, before we get into the breakdown. Like, the Orioles are really good. Like, so, you know, this isn't like an Orioles, like, slander type thing. They have so many good young players. Like, this organization is phenomenal. Like, they're going to be around for a while, but here's where I have to I just don't think the Orioles can continue to just win game after game the way they're winning game after game. So you go back to last night's game, 4 runs on 6 hits. They were out hit 8-6. They really didn't have many scoring opportunities. Couple home runs. That's something they've done better than any team in the league this year. They currently lead Major League Baseball in home runs. But I just have this overwhelming feeling that everything has gone right for this team. I mean, they call up their prize prospect, right? Jackson Holliday gets the call. He's 1 for 30 since getting called up, and this team has won 7 of their last 8 games. Like, that's the type of stuff that just shouldn't really happen, right? Like, you find me another team that called up their best prospect in their organization. He came up, went 1 for 30, and they're on a 7-1 winning streak. Like, that stuff that, just, in my opinion, can't really continue. You have another one here. Austin Hayes goes down, no problem. We've got Heston Kjerstad and a bunch of other ridiculous young players, but he's going to get the call up. And it's like, at some point, they're going to start either A, losing a couple close games, or B, finding themselves in close games, which is kind of the route I'm looking here. The other reason I think the Orioles might have some regression to the mean is the pitching collectively is not elite in this organization. They do have some good starting pitching. I like Grayson Rodriguez, who gets the ball tonight. We'll talk about him more in a minute, but it's not like this bullpen's just incredible, right? Like, they have no Bautista this year. I think the relievers are good. Like, I don't know that Kimbrel's like an elite closer at this point, and I think he might be building to a potential bad outing. I mean, the Angels had him on the ropes yesterday, bases loaded, 1 out, and couldn't get it done, and had their one of the best hitters in baseball at the plate to do so. So you had Yenner Cano throw 21 pitches yesterday, Kimbrel 23, and that was a very shaky outing. And he's pitched 2 of the last 3 days. So I don't love the shape that the Baltimore bullpen's in coming into this game. And then, of course, these two teams have seen each other now. They just played in Baltimore a couple weeks ago. The Angels just saw Rodriguez. So you could make the same case that the Orioles just saw Canning. But Canning being, kind of bad is over-baked into the number here, in my opinion. Of course, the Orioles hit Canning, and Canning has horrible numbers against the Orioles. So all of that's going to inflate this number. Then the plus 1.5 here is down to minus 120. I think if this continues to drop, this will end up being a client play for me. Just because I think, you're going to give me a 1.5. This game could have easily landed 1 last night. Actually, the Angels really could have won. 1 timely hit, and the Angels tie that game. I have a feeling they're going to go on and win. You have to expect the Angels to break out of this slump they're in at some point. And the Orioles, it's just hard to believe they're going to continue to just get multiple home runs a game to win games like 4-2. It's really would be shocking to see the Orioles continue to win at the rate they're winning with the pitching they have, and a couple guys hurt, a couple guys slumping. Like, they can't just overcome those odds long-term, in my opinion. So I do think you see the Orioles take a step back from the 7-1 run in the foreseeable future. And the way I look tonight is just to take the run line because, if you're going to give me the run to work with under minus 120, I could potentially cash the ticket even with a close loss, and that sounds good to me. So Angels plus 1.5, best bet, and it's likely going to hit my client card, and I'll tweet it out if it does.
Angels getting the 1.5, a home side. That's the play there for our man Adam Trigger. Best bet on that one. We do have some questions to run through here before we shut things down. Just to remind you, the first 5 Seattle play was the best bet for our man Bryan Power. We'll remind you before we sign off for the day here, but we got Instagram checking in. No day drinking over there, just a question asking about the Tampa and Tigers. Shout out to Miss AL 0297. We appreciate you checking in on the Instagram page. Tampa Bay and the Detroit Tigers. Looks like we've seen kind of some split money on this one. We're looking at 8s painted across the board. BP, any thoughts on this one, brother?
Tampa Bay has been a obviously disappointing team to start the season. I know a lot of people were jumping all over that season win total of 84.5. I thought it was a great bet to bet over. It looked too good to be true. But it turns out when your starting rotation's really banged up and your bullpen's no good, it is tough to win ball games. That said, I kind of like Tampa here. Pepio is someone who I like quite a bit. And I think when you look at these two teams, who am I more confident in will get it going? It would still be the Rays. So Pepio, I think there's some positive regression in his profile when you look at what's happened. Like I said, he's someone I believed in. I think he can be a guy who can really help this rotation in light of all those injuries. So I have it. I mean, again, at this price, do I want to lay that? No, it's not what's on my card. Maybe you can go Tampa Bay half. You can lay the half run in the first 5 innings. Perhaps
True.
That is a way to play it in this one because I do think Tampa Bay does kind of get it going moving forward.
Nice, simple question, Trig, for you about the Yankees. But first, I do want to say, BP, they've had your back over on the shorts chat. Our man Franco said, I don't get it. Brian's hair looks fine. I said, I know. He has amazing hair. We love Bryan Power's hair. I said, that's why he thanks you. And Franco goes, LOL, SMH. Okay, you're welcome, hair. So he did at least extend the welcome there. We love
that.
Chopping it up with you. Yeah, see, they got your back. They got your back, man. So don't worry. They'll make sure stick around for the NBA show. So next time Joe goes at you, Franco, you'll have to have his back in that one. Trig, though, the question from our man FB Coach. Pretty simple. Can the Yanks not get their ass kicked by the A's again? They say that lightning typically does not strike the same place twice, but it's Blackburn and Stroman. All I know is there better not be any fans around the dugout making any statements, or else managers are going to get tossed. You got to watch out. You got to watch out if you're near that bullpen. You're going to get your manager tossed out of the game. Minus 210, the run line, even money. The Yankees bounce back has to be one of the favorite plays for people just setting and forgetting across. You know what I mean? Come on back. They're not going to lose again. It can't be that easy, right, Trig?
Well, I have some thoughts here. I don't really have a play, but I do have thoughts on this game. Like, first of all, I think the Yankees are a legitimate World Series contender. Like, I really like this Yankees team. So I haven't really been playing against them much. Really, for me, it's the Yankees and the Jays in the AL. Those are the two teams I like quite a bit. That being said, though, this goes back to like what I was, when someone asked about the Guardians, like I'm not that surprised the Yankees lost yesterday. Like JP Sears is really good. He fired 6 innings, 6 shutout innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, and Mason Miller is awesome. Like, you're gonna get those guys stacked up like that. They got 2 innings out of the bullpen, which were good. Like, I wouldn't just like lay $2 with the Yankees because Blackburn's a pretty quality starter as well. But the A's are less appealing than they were yesterday for me. Like, but again, I think the A's are scrappy. And the problem with here's the problem with this series. You're really getting no value on betting the Yankees. But do you want to bet the A's on the road? I think if you missed your opportunity to do it yesterday, it's tough to bet the A's here. I would just sit this out. If you like the Yankees, just sit this out and hope that the A's, play a close game today or maybe steal another one and then look to bet the Yanks tomorrow. But there's just not enough value here. I suppose if you're going to do 2-team money line parlay, Yankees aren't the worst option. But again, for me, I'm super high on the Yankees, but I really like the A's. I think they're a scrappy team, so it's really kind of tough for me to get involved in this one.
Good question here, guys, from City by the Bay. He was just asking, am I wrong for waiting until lineups to bet? He says a star player out of the lineup makes all the difference. I would argue it didn't make much of the difference yesterday for the Philadelphia Phillies. Once they heard that Bryce Harper is going to be on the paternity list, he wasn't going to be there. They still raked all over the field in that one. For me, I want to get your thoughts on this one, BP, but for me, if I like a play, I want to get it in before the number potentially moves. If I don't get the CLV trophy, so be it. If it moves against me, I can live with that too. I just can't wait until the last second unless it's, a team total or I'm trying to bet a player prop or I'm trying to really ISO in on someone. If I'm just looking at a side or a game total, I can't wait till those lineup cards come in. What do you think about that, BP?
Well, I mean, there is a reality of this job that obviously we want to get, and Trig can attest to this, we want to get plays to our clients. So,
true.
You said something that is very pertinent. It's all about anticipating, and you have to read the reports, right? I mean, it's not all that
True.
often that all of a sudden out of the blue a guy's going to sit. But for me, Dan, you said something that is absolutely true. I try to anticipate. If I think the line's just going to go up and up, up and up and up, I want to bet it now. If I like a side, I would like to get it at the best number. I will wait a little bit if it's kind of an anti-public side, and I like I see the line going up the other way, and I'll try to grab the best number. So for me, it's about getting the best of the number more so than waiting for the lineups to be announced is what I would say. And I do want to add one thing about the Yankees, by the way. One big red flag about laying the 1.5 with them is that I think half of their wins this year have been by one run. Yeah, almost half, 7 out of 15. So they're not a great team to lay 1.5 with because you can get burned in that regard. So I guess I answered 2 questions there, Dan. I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn.
Oh, you got to answer a question and your hair got to answer a question. So you get 2 for 1s all the time. Don't worry, BP. That's allowed here on the show. Last one here, guys, before we shut things down for the day. I always like talking about the game that has the highest total on the board. And for once, we actually don't have to go to Colorado to find it. It's actually the Cubbies game. France and Wicks on the mound. We're looking at 10s painted across the WagerTalk live odds screen. And this one's as intriguing as they come, guys. Basically a pick'em price. So, Trig, any quick thoughts on Houston and Chicago Cubs? And Bryan, you can give yours to shut us down. But any thoughts on this? A pretty darn good matchup.
I slightly in Houston. I love the Cubs this year. That's I talked about Jays and the Yankees in the AL. The Cubs are the team that I'm very much all in. One of the teams I'm very much all in on in the NL in terms of where I have them rated to where the market has them rated. But the Astros kind of quietly very close to the top of the league in many offensive categories. I think it's gotten sort of overlooked because they had such a disastrous start to the season, so many injuries to their pitching. But the Astros have still hit, and I don't think they've gotten enough credit for it. So Wicks is one of the kind of weak links, in my opinion, in terms of the Cubs rotation right now. I think the Astros can probably get some offense off of him. At the same time, I would have to go check the wind, of course, but I really like this Cubs lineup. You talk about Suzuki goes down, they call up Canario, who's just a stud. That's the thing with the Cubs. They have so many good players at AAA and AA that this team's not going to really miss a beat if someone gets hurt. So I think, I could see, you talk about a total that's 10.5. I could see both these teams getting a 5 at some point in this game. And if they both get to 5, well, your over is a win. But if I had to lean toward the side here, I look to bet the Cubs almost every day. And I didn't get a warm, fuzzy feeling about the Cubs today. So I guess that makes me lean Astros, and still think the Astros are quite underrated based on their start.
Yeah, and one thing, we're talking about, do we wait for lineup cards? Is that I do like at least checking in on the weather, and we got some nice winds blowing straight on out to center. Probably has to do with why you're seeing the total the way it is. Bryan Power, before we shut things down, folks, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Give a like on the way out here. Thoughts on that Chicago Cubs game? 10 is the total. We actually seen some 10.5s pop. He talked side. Any thoughts on that high total? Is this one more likely to go over? Is the Colorado game more likely to go over? What do we think?
Yeah, in terms of the total, it would be over or nothing for me here. Just to piggyback off something Trig said, I mentioned the Yankees' positive luck with one-run games. Houston has been the unluckiest team in baseball so far. They're 0-6 in one-run games, at least the unluckiest in that regard. My kind of concern with the Astros here is the starter, JP France. His numbers aren't good in 4 starts, but he's also faced Texas twice, Atlanta, and the Yankees. So are the poor numbers a byproduct of who he's faced, or is there a real issue there? So again, I guess the best bet, just would be to take the over rather than to lean towards the side, because France to me is an X factor. He's given up 3 home runs his last 2 starts, just 7 strikeouts, 5 walks. He had a really, really bad start at home against Texas 2 outings ago. So that's what kept me off Houston ultimately. So yeah, but there's going to be a lot of runs, no doubt about it, between these 2 teams.
The true best bet, though, for my man Bryan Power was Seattle in the first 5 on the money line. Trig taking the Angels, getting the 1.5 against the Orioles. That's the best bets for the guys. Hop below in the comments and let us know yours. And make sure, folks, you hit that thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you never miss when we're dropping videos across all these sports that you love to bet. We're getting you info around the clock here at WagerTalk TV. And if you want more, you don't have to go far. Click the video on your screen right now. Keep getting all that info you need to cash in on all the sports you love. We'll see you next time here. Best of luck, everyone.